Cuba. Now,
So what do you think that this spells for third world countries that have been getting so much support from the Soviets?
what it spells in the simplest possible terms is we're moving into an era, it could be a 1,000-year era, although it'll probably be blown apart by environmental problems, of world peace as controlled by a global financial order directing it. Japan and Germany are the rich countries now. The Soviet Union and the United States are busted economically, essentially. They're buying out our paper because our economy is so down and the deficit is so high, but we're still the military superpowers. So we are emerging out of this as the Praetorian Guard, reinforcing the power interests of the global financial order, which is a Northern Hemisphere order, to enforce stability through this control through oligarchies of countries of the third world, so that the North can continue to exploit the South and the third world for the minerals, resources, cheap labor, all of the things that they've been doing before.
Well, what's to prevent third world nations, as they're called, from just turning off the spigot or forming cartels like OPEC and charging uniform prices to this alliance?
OPEC was able to get by with existing because it controlled this huge resource of oil, so it had something to sell. But the secret, again, Whitney's book, Endless Enemies, you have to do it smoothly without the cost and expense of brutal military occupation. There's a magical formula whereby you allow a Mobutu to exist. His money is invested in your banks. What difference does it make if he's a billionaire? Because the money is not lost to your financial order. But to control the money and the flow of money from and to and minerals from Zaire, and the same thing is true of Panama or El Salvador, you have to have a crust, an oligarchy, of people who are members of the international order.
Who will see to it that a fair price is never charged by their country.
Exactly. And they have to be kept in power by El Salvador's the clearest example that you could, by this military death squad machinery that the CIA has created to keep the people from rising up.
Do you think a man like Fidel Castro can stay in power?
I think it's one of the most fascinating and dreadful questions facing the world today. I call people like Admiral Carroll at the Center for Defense Information to ask, okay, they've done Panama crassly, they are salivating over Nicaragua and Cuba, will they? And he's saying no, they will not invade Cuba because the price would be too high. The Cubans have defended themselves too well. Too many lives would be lost. The Joint Chiefs won't permit that. Cuban jets can strike in this country.
But will the economic chaos that is sure to follow, will that undo him?
The question is, will we see something happen in Cuba like happened to East Germany, where Honecker winds up in house arrest and his whole, the party broken up and investigated and torn down? Will this happen if the Russians, or when, or as they pull the plug economically on Cuba? Will Fidel's, his party, and the society he's created fall apart? And I just hate to make a prediction. It's hard for me to say it will, but certainly he's going to be under tremendous pressure at a time that he's getting a little bit older.
Some people who have watched this program that's concluding now would say John Stockwell has come down awfully hard on the United States way of life, criticized Uncle Sam, criticized capitalism. How would you answer those people who might accuse you of being everything but patriotic?
Oh, first, I put my life on the line. I went out there, you know, all those years in the Marine Corps, recon, parachuting out of planes, and then the CIA up country in Vietnam getting shelled every day. The patriotism thing, I know, the risking your life, I've done. I've earned my right to speak out. Two, the essential responsibility of democracy is you've got to defend it from the enemies without and the enemies within. The corruption within. You're not a patriotic citizen if you condone policies that destroy your country or destroy, and let's take this beyond patriotism, fatherland, and all of the chauvinism that implies, but to the world. We're members of a world society, a world economy, and a world environment, world ecology. And if you're not responsible enough to study the issues and to address the problems and to speak to them candidly, then you are irresponsible. I don't mind when people disagree with me. That's democracy. I'm not brilliant. I could be totally wrong or partially wrong, or they just have a different view. But when they say love it or leave it, I say, whoa, you leave it. If you're not willing to be part of the debate while we hammer out things involving the suffering of millions of people in the third world because of cynical reasons, the destruction of our environment, the survival of our planet, we have to address these issues. And my addressing them in conscientious research, lots of miles traveling and seeing for myself and saying, hey folks, these are my findings, think about it. If I'm wrong, let's debate it. That doesn't make me unpatriotic. I submit that the unpatriotic people would be more like the Oliver Norths, who were involved in drug smuggling, who broke the laws, who set themselves above the laws, who perjured themselves to cover up what they were doing. And the big difference, the bottom line to me, and this is a choice in values, all the viewers can decide, he pled the Fifth Amendment before the Congress. I refuse to plead the Fifth Amendment. Put me in jail, but I'll tell you the truth was my line.
John Stockwell, thank you very much. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. Hope it was useful to you.